So, welcome to another episode of Run with Julia. And today I'm metaphorically running with Stacey Quick. I am very, very excited about this conversation. We have no idea what we're exactly going to talk about, although we do know it's going to have running in the theme. We met in a lift actually, but I'll say about that later. All the conversations you have in a lift. Stacey is the CEO and founder. I've got some notes here, everybody, by the way. The CEO and founder of Mustard Fitness. He started it 10 years ago. It's online personalized training plans. Looks amazing. Go and look at his website. We will put obviously the link underneath. He was inspired from the age of 6 by Jackie Chan and Van Damme, the martial artists and actors who are pretty awesome. And he was 6 years old, and that began. That's what I've read on his website. We'll hear from him. His love of fitness that has continued and continued. I love his strap line. It is work hard, train harder. It's more simple than many people think. And I would absolutely echo that. So we met in the lift in where Anadi and I live. We were catching the lift, as you do, and there was a young man making his way. So we held the door for him. The best door holding ever. In came Stacey. And then we talked, didn't we, Stacey? So welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming for a run with me.
Yeah, of course, always. It was it was wonderful. We were in the lift for 30 seconds and then we were in the lobby for what, 20, 30 minutes afterwards. So
we were.
And I do have to be honest, I've got a bit of a secret here. I don't hold the lift for people. So I was really pleasantly surprised that you held the doors, come in and this is great. Because I usually push the close button, I just want to get out of there and avoid the small talk. But actually this was better than small talk. It was big talk. So here we are.
I was standing there in my bare feet. I think I'm trying to remember what began our conversation, but it may have been my bare feet.
I didn't say you've forgotten your shoes. I said something along the lines of, "Are you going for a barefoot run?" Because you were fully geared up in your gear, in your running slacks. So I think that's how it started. And I said I'd tried it a couple of times in the past, and it kind of killed me because I think I had the wrong technique. I went too hard, too fast. I'm super heavy as well, so I think with the right kind of streamlining, I can probably nail it.
I do remember you saying as well that you ran a half marathon within 3 months of going barefoot, and I suggested that maybe that had been a little enthusiastic, shall we say? Not, I'm always like to celebrate enthusiasm, but maybe it hurt you. So did you completely give up barefoot running after that?
I did. I used to live down in the south of Spain. For anyone watching, I live in Valencia now, but I lived in the south, right next to Gibraltar, and that used to be my running route, just running around the rock. And it's great because you've got some flats, you've got some inclines, and I thought, what a great place to start my barefoot running adventures. And no, that didn't last very long because I just went, like you said, too enthusiastically, too hard, too fast.
What inspired you? What was the idea? Actually, tell me, had you been running for a while before you decided to take your shoes off? Has running been part of the karate and the martial arts and all the things that you've done?
This actually goes on to the topic which we discussed in the lobby, where everyone was preaching to me to try and meditate. And I was like, you know what, I can't. I struggle to sit still. I'm quite, I need to be moving all the time. Even when I'm at my desk, my legs are going. And someone mentioned, hey, try running meditation or moving meditation. So that was actually what kind of kicked it, because I clearly needed to de-stress mentally, and so I took that avenue, and that's what kind of started me running at about the age of, I'm 37 now, so I think about 22, 23. I always went for runs every now and again, but I never took it seriously. But since then, I've been going, 2 or 3 times a week with shoes on now.
It's very interesting that I would celebrate and encourage anybody to run as a meditation, because it is all that meditation is to be present and to be in the step you're in, essentially. So with running, it lends itself to that, really, doesn't it? Because you can't really be anywhere than where you are. And is it still something you use as a meditation, or is it something you use for fitness or competition or everything?
It's a little bit of everything, but this is going to sound super strange, and I'm curious on your insights here, Julia. I can only get into that place that people describe as meditation when I'm under slight discomfort. And I know that sounds really weird, but the two places where I can kind of meditate is when I'm running, or if I'm sitting in the sauna for a long time. I can kind of go into that, okay, because I think I'm trying to kind of almost step away from what my body's feeling, the discomfort, and go into another place. And I wouldn't say it's anything spiritual or anything like that. Personally, I think it's more just kind of decompressing from the day and compartmentalizing a little bit. So I find I do that with running and in the sauna, and those are the only two places I'm able to do it. But along with that, I do it obviously for fitness, and I run Spartan races. I don't know if you've heard of Spartan races,
I have, but I don't know what they are. I've heard the term. Tell me what they are. That's fascinating.
So they're obstacle races basically. So I did a couple of marathons, and I thought, okay, that was fun and everything, but I want something different.
Fun?
Wow. No.
That's
the wrong word.
You're talking
my auntie.
You're talking to an ex-professional marathon runner. I'm not sure marathon. Anyway, carry on. Your auntie, sorry.
No, my auntie, who's also a avid marathon runner, ultra marathon runner, she's awesome. She describes them as a hard party. So I think that it's very true. It's a party, but it's just really hard, But I wanted something that wasn't just running. I wanted something that really challenged my upper body and my grip strength. And, there's something satisfying about finishing a race with some cuts and bruises. I don't know what that is, but it kind of makes you feel like, or reminds you you're not made out of glass. So running these obstacle races and doing the monkey bars and crawling under barbed wire and carrying chains, ultimately you're training for a zombie apocalypse. So that's what I wanted to do. So Spartan races were kind of that avenue, and I've been doing them for 6 years. They're super fun, and they keep you on your toes. They keep you training, because you know that if you don't train and you get to the race, it's going to really suck.
And it's actually training. It's more like CrossFit in a way. It's cross training, isn't it? Which is overall. You asked me, or you mentioned you're interested in my take on your meditation and that kind of aspect. I would say that it's running really hard, or getting to the point of discomfort, or being in a sauna and being in discomfort is a great way to meditate, to get into that space where you're not identified and attached to your mind and body. Because ultimately meditation is to drop into the essence of us, the essence, the faceless, formless, no beginning, no end of us. And people are very identified with their mind and their body. And therefore, if you get to the point where you kind of leave both behind, then that's meditation. And I can see how both of the things you said would affect that kind of freedom from attachment to mind and body, and ultimately recognizing yourself at a deeper level.
Yeah, I think that you've hit the nail on the head with that. I couldn't have said it better, but that's definitely what I feel.
And you discovered that yourself, which is the interesting thing, because of course these things can't actually be taught. They have to be experienced, and they have to be learned ourselves. Someone can give you some ideas, but you've got to find your own way, which you have.
For sure. I tell a lie. There was one other place I experienced it, and that was in Finland. And we did a little, my girlfriend and I were traveling there. We were in the sauna in Helsinki, and then what the custom is to go and jump in the sea afterwards. And it was 9 or 10 o'clock at night. This is our Saturday nights, by the way. Sit in the sauna. We went and jumped in the sea, and it wasn't super cold. I think it was 5 degrees. That's cold. That's super cold. And that first impact in the water, you're like, the first thing you want to do is just get out of there immediately. And that's what my girlfriend did, and she's much smarter than I am. But I decided to just kind of stay and get past that initial pain. And again, I found myself within 2 or 3 minutes going to that place where I could kind of go, okay, you know what, this isn't so bad. And then I touched that area that I've been describing, and I did 14 minutes, which is, that's quite a long, a long time. And
Massive,
I
massive.
mean,
Yeah, massive.
yeah, that I mean, it sucked, but it was kind of cool to know that if you can transport somewhere else, then you can actually go a lot further than that initial "I got to get out of here immediately" instinct says.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is any opportunity to know yourself at that level is very, very valid and valuable. And then ultimately it becomes more and more that you can just be it in life. But that's the only purpose of meditation practice, really, is to be able to be in a meditation in your life. But that
Yeah.
over time. But in your life then, so you train for Spartan races, and does your girlfriend as well? And and how do you
Yes.
train? I'm always interested in how you train and how your whole lifestyle, because you're living in Spain. So
Yeah.
tell us a bit about how that all came. That here you are in Valencia, running your own business and running in Spartan races. It's interesting.
Yeah. How we got here was that's a long story. I think that will take up the podcast, because it took a while for me to. I've lived in a lot of countries, and I was just always looking for a place that wasn't. It doesn't have all the superlatives, the best, but it has consistent highs. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I find that Spain, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't have the best food. It doesn't have the best beaches. It doesn't have the best mountains, but it has excellent food. It has excellent beaches. It has excellent mountains. It has excellent hiking routes. The people are wonderful. So you've just got so many consistent highs all round. Of course, you can go to the Philippines and find the best beaches on the planet there, but then you've got some lows as well as in the Philippines that there's certain aspects that don't reach those highs. But I found that Spain has those consistent highs.
It's like a total lifestyle. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Spain is, for me, it kind of ticks those boxes, and so that ultimately that's why I'm in Spain. And then running my business. Honestly, Julia, I just didn't want to ask anyone for holidays anymore. I had a boss. I tried bossing. I had the bosses. I don't even know if bossing is a verb.
What were you being bossed at?
I was an English teacher in Madrid. I was a restaurant manager in New Zealand. I was a bartender in Amsterdam. I worked in sales in Gibraltar, and I just tried all these different realms because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And a good boss is like winning the lottery. It's very hard to find a good boss. No disrespect to bosses. I'm sure the bosses listening, you're amazing. You are exceptions to the rule. I just struggled with them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to just go and be my own boss and focus on the things I love, which was training, working out, and helping people reach their fitness goals. And I was doing this just as a hobby with my friends and family. And then someone said, Dominique, my partner, she said, why don't you make a living out of this? And so I did. And here I am. And it's great. I think some of the negatives of being your own boss is things like you find yourself working on weekends and you find yourselves, you're not taking as many holidays as you think you can. Because if you don't work, you don't eat, you don't get paid vacation and things like that. But when you find that balance, meeting you in London is a great example. I had my laptop with me. I was working while I was there, but I was in a new city. And, so you can kind of, I found what I wanted to do ultimately with that.
I would say that working for myself, and I've worked for myself all my life, or ourselves, us people who maybe we can't be bossed. Maybe you took just a little tiny bit longer than me to know I couldn't be bossed. I was bossed for about 2 years when I was 18, and that was that. Never been bossed since. Never been bossed. I think
there you go.
I think there are certain people who can never be bossed, and then those people who work, there are certain people who can't work for themselves. It doesn't work. But I've got quite a few people in my clients who are, working for themselves. And I always say to them when they're going, oh, but what about me time? I said, one of the things I learned very early was it's all me time. If we go,
Yeah.
this is me time, this is me time, this is me time, then it's all fun and it's a total lifestyle. And then you pop in things, you might pop in a day out somewhere, or you might, if you want to, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's all part of the whole, and it's
Yeah.
fun. And so when you were in London, had you just come to London just to be in another city and work? And
Well, my family all live in Norwich, which is about 160 kilometers, 100 miles from London. And I have some clients there. So all of my coaching is online. So I try to meet as many of my clients as possible. So if I have a new client in Berlin, I'm like, hey, I love Berlin. I'm going to go and say hello and enjoy the city while I'm there. And that was exactly why I was in London. I wanted to explore a bit more. By the way, you gave me the best route I've ever done in London. Regent's Canal was, you guys are gems, by the way. I didn't tell you that, but thank you for that recommendation, because I was absolutely high on life.
Here we do have to let our watchers know that Stacey wanted to go to, where did you want to go to?
I wanted to walk to Hackney from Chelsea.
That's right. He wanted to walk, and he was going to go through the city. And we went, no, you don't need to go through the city. We said, go up to Paddington across the park, and then drop onto the Regent's Canal, and you can go all the way along the Regent's Canal to Hackney. Then he was very concerned to know whether he would find any pubs en route. We assured him he would.
I did.
What did you think of you later in the day? Will he be there now? Will he be there? It's a long way.
Yeah, I did it. I was a bit wobbly when I got there. Tired legs and one or two beers. That'll do it. That'll do it to you, you know. There is just a side note. I got to throw it out there because this is quite a funny story. I ended up passing through Soho to meet a client, and I've been to Soho, I think, when I was a kid, but I haven't been there since. And I didn't know Soho was the gay area of London. And you know, I'm walking through and I'm like, oh, blimey, it's nice and clean here. Got some cool bars. This is great. I texted my client, hey, let's meet in Soho for a beer. He's gay. He knows a pub. He took me to the pub. We sat down and I'm like, wow, I'm getting some attention. I mean, it's from guys. It's fine. It's nice. And then he was like, yeah, this is the gay district. And I looked around and then the penny dropped and I realized that, yeah, okay. I mean, this is
you know, I had a similar
I had no idea.
I had a similar experience in Cologne in Germany when I was 17. And I worked, this is when, probably 18, because it's when I worked my 2 years of working for someone. When I worked for my coach, and he was very innovative. This is the late 70s. And he was starting all the fitness things, and he was designing a lot of the fitness equipment. And I had to go to a trade fair with the designers of it, but I was with an ex-bodybuilder who was kind of carrying the machinery around, and this young man, but I was the young girl who would do every hour on the hour a bit of, you know, to draw the crowds and run for 10 minutes on the treadmill. And I did that for 3 days. But I was with the ex-bodybuilder and the young man in the evenings, and the company owners all stayed in some lovely hotel, and we were somewhere else because we were the workers.
Right.
Anyway, I went into this bar with the ex-bodybuilder and the young man, and I was sitting at the bar thinking, I can't see any women. I can't see any women, but this was different. Then I noticed velvet curtains. And then I noticed the woman, but she was dressed very, very, very lady of the night-ish. And then the ex-bodybuilder went behind the velvet curtains, and the young man, who was about 28, I'm 18, saw my eyes clocking, where am I? What is this? Is this one of those places that I've heard about? And then he saw that I'd realised that the ex-bodybuilder was going off with the lady of the night, and that we were left sitting at the bar stool. And he just said to me, it's all right, everything's all right, I'm staying with you. I got married this summer. I don't want any of that. And this happened every night.
I tell you what, though, this wasn't my first gay bar. I always find that when you go in Madrid, when I was living in Madrid, my girlfriend and I would go to Chueca, which is the gay area, because you get no aggravation. Everybody's out just having a good night. It's going to be spotless. Nobody wants trouble. You go to other bars, and you always find there's some boisterous guys, or it gets a bit, maybe it's not. I always find that it's just classier, good drinks. Everyone's just out for a good night. So
yeah, I think that's all good. We like this. We like that. I'm going to go and investigate Soho a bit more.
So that was awesome. No, I was thrilled. I kept getting called Johnny Bravo, which, hey, I'm taking that as a compliment. That's good. They were handsome fellas calling me Johnny Bravo. So let's go.
It's good. It's good. No, I think it's great. And so when you meet your clients, when you do the programs, is it remote programming, or do you actually do Zooms with them, or have you even actually met them online in a conversation, or how?
Yeah. So, I mean, the process works is they usually approach me either through Instagram, word of mouth, or just through my website, and they'll get in contact. They'll tell me their goals. We'll kind of go over I call it like a free kind of period where we're just kind of understanding each other a little bit, and they can see how I work, and I can understand their goals and what they want to achieve, what they can achieve. And then it's from there. I have a platform that I use. It's called Workout Labs, which this is where I basically generate or build their routines and put them on their calendar, which they can access on their phone or any device. They take that with them to the gym, or they do it from home, and they can literally go through the routine. It has illustrations that look like this.
Oh, very good.
And I can monitor whether or not they're completing workouts, skipping them. I talk to them all every day through WhatsApp. And then I was struggling with the nutrition part, because I was sending them, meal plans that I just made, and it was very tedious to create these meal plans. So I actually partnered up with a tech guy, and we built a meal planning website platform called Hit My Macros. And I mean, that's obviously available to people to just run their own meal planning, but I also use that with all of my clients now. So I'll input their goals, I'll generate them a nice meal plan based on what they can and can't eat, what they like, what they dislike. And the most important part of all of this is I hate going down the route of do this temporarily and you'll get these goals. I like to say, you know what, this is your life now. Let's make this as sustainable as possible. So when my clients are surprised that they can still have ice cream and beers on the weekend, that's why I'm doing it, because I think a life without ice cream and beer is not the kind of life that I want to live. But when they realize that they can have those things, obviously in moderation, but they can still have them while achieving their goals, that's when we're good to go, and we get them signed up. And I've had some clients that stay with me for 6 months, and they reach their goals, and then they're like, thank you, I'll be on my way. And again, I always try and teach them the ins and outs of building their own plans, so that ultimately they can be self-sustainable. That's, you don't want to be paying a fitness coach forever. So that's my main objective. But then I've also had clients who've stuck with me for 5 years because they like the accountability of someone just saying, hey, why didn't you complete your workouts today? What's going on with your nutrition? Why has your weight gone up a little bit? So they like that kick up the bum, for lack of a better term.
It's a relationship, though, isn't it? It's actually relational, and it's enriching to have that in their life too. To have you in their life, I can imagine it's fun. But
I try and make it fun, without all while sort of keeping things on the right track, and it works, so that's all that matters to me.
So tell me, I'm interested, what types of goals people have. Do you have a range of clients from every single possibility, or is there something that people would look for you for, or is it all range of people and goals?
I mean, I've worked with male clients who are 16, 17 years old who want to build a lot of muscle, and I'm now focusing a lot of time on female clients who are going through pre-menopause and menopause, and that requires just a different angle, different kinds of training over the monthly period and different kinds of foods and things like that. So yeah, the range is there, but I find that I'm super into the route now of building workout plans around women based on their hormonal cycle. Because a lot of people, they just assume, do this plan, it's the same routine for 4 weeks. That's not the way it should work for women. It might work differently for men, but for women who have hormonal cycles, you know, a female's testosterone is the highest the week after their period. So that's when they should be doing more weight training. And the week before their period, they shouldn't be doing heavy deadlifts, you know? So I like to program my routines around that. So yeah, I'm really getting into that topic at the moment. It's very interesting.
How did you get drawn into that? That's so interesting. Here is a Spartan man who walked miles across London and ran barefoot in 3 months and did a half marathon and trained 16-year-olds to be strong and was inspired by Jackie Chan and Van Damme. And you're working.
And Van Damme.
Sorry, but.
And Van Damme. I was like, don't forget Van Damme.
Van Damme.
You did say him.
No, we don't want to forget. And here you are working with menopausal women. I love it. I think it's great, by the way. But I'm intrigued how it happened.
I have 4 sisters, and I'm the only boy. So I think regular trips to the supermarket, buying chocolates and tampons was just part of my kind of weekly routine.
Where are you in the line of all the sisters?
Right in the middle.
Oh wow! So you got 2 either side.
2 older, 2 younger. Yeah, and so the younger 2 are twins, and the elder 2 are 4 and 6 years older than I am. So I think being raised in that household with a single mum as well, you know, surrounded by 5 women, I learned a lot about periods, Julia. I learned a lot about that.
Interesting. When I've been in a house with women, or there's been more than one woman in a house, we all end up having our periods at the same time. And did that happen?
I know. I know. Yes.
So fascinating.
I learned that from a very young age. Yeah.
But isn't that fascinating? Because it's happened
so
to me,
interesting.
although I don't have periods anymore, obviously, but it happens to me anytime I was in a flat with women. We'd have our periods completely other ends of the month, and then we'd all gather.
You sync up. That's because of evolution. You know, we're tribal creatures, aren't we? You know, so having that, you would be considered vulnerable back in the day. Not now, thankfully. You know, times have changed. But so a tribe, they would all sync up so that they could all kind of look out for each other at the same time. And go
into the red tent, it was called, wasn't it, in tribal?
Go into the red tent. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, red tent. And I read an amazing book that was a novel, but it had that in it, and I love that. So they'd all go in together at that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did they all just sit in the red tent together? No, I'm going.
Did they have Netflix at least, or?
But I mean, we'll have to Google it, and you'll probably find whatever she's talking about. The red tent.
I like the idea. If it's comfortable, if it's like a nice steam room, and they get massages, and there's chocolate, that would be great.
About your household, that's so interesting. So you had the whole of your household having a period at the same time, except for you.
Except for me.
So you. Yeah. And so working in women's lives, that's been there as well from the beginning, or did it evolve recently? Did you say? I think you said.
No, I mean, so I got my first premenopausal client a few years ago, and it just kind of made me realize this is very different. This is a very different area that I need to learn about, because every time I get a client with different objectives or different conditions or going through something, I really like to learn as much as I can, so that the next time that it inevitably comes along, I can handle it well. So yeah, I got my first premenopausal client a few years ago, and since then I've just kind of been understanding it a lot more, you know. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not understanding it on that level, but I am understanding foods, especially food timing, workout timing. You know, some premenopausal women are going to gain a little bit of weight, and that's okay. That's fine. That's not the end of the world. It will come off again at some point. So just kind of building my knowledge around that topic has been super helpful for my clients. So I always like to get them. Go ahead.
Okay, you go. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say I always like to get them to their goals with the most possible comfort, especially in this realm, you know, because the process is already hard, and it's hard in a way I will never understand. So the least I can do is learn about it and help them through it. You
know, it's interesting. I think that people can understand, and I would say you're one of them, because I was speaking with a client yesterday and saying we can get into someone else's shoes if we really listen. And, you know, I teach a lot of my clients intentional dialogue, well, all of them really, where it's properly listening and properly crossing the bridge into the world of another person and properly validating and understanding something you might never understand. And it's awesome how we have the capacity to do that. And clearly you know, because just because you're a man doesn't mean you wouldn't be able to understand if somebody's explaining to you symptoms and what they're feeling in their body. There's no reason. I have a huge proportion of male clients, all kind of your age group really. I think probably my male clients range, well, actually my youngest is 26, ranging up to about 55. So but there's a gap about your age, kind of 37 to 42. So I've got masses of male clients. I can understand them by listening. And obviously I'm not a man, but I listen and, you know, get into their world really. And I think that sounds what you're doing. And so you've got menopausal female clients, but you work with other female ages too.
Oh, yeah, all the way down to, you know, athletes in their 20s, all the way up to I think my eldest client is in her 60s. So yeah, so it's a big range, and I love it because it's new challenges, it's new things I have to learn, and ultimately it's just more, what's the expression, more strings to your bow.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel like I'm getting from it, and now I'm going down the path of potentially working with more businesses who want to train their staff. So there's a budget for companies to spend on health and wellness for their staff, but personal trainers one-on-one, they're very expensive. So they would approach someone like me who can train them all at the same time, have a group WhatsApp, and do challenges, and everyone kind of motivates each other, and it's a lot more affordable as well. So that's kind of a direction I'm going into.
Lots of fun too. And now Dominique is your girlfriend. Does she work with you at all, or does she train with you, or does she train at all?
She has to. I have her testing a lot of routines. So she's very athletic. She always has been. She played you know, soccer or football in university, and she's someone who can pick up a sport in annoyingly in seconds, because she's always better than me at all sports. She's very athletic, but at the same time, so I will say, hey, I need you to test these routines for a female client before I give them to her. So she'll be in the gym with me, testing them out and giving me solid feedback. You know, because it's good to understand it from a female's perspective. I can't go in there and be like, you know, doing a beginner's dumbbell routine and experiencing it the same way she can. So she trains a lot. I'd say she trains 4 or 5 times a week as well. So sometimes she's a bit against it, and I'm like, come on, it's all right. Let's go to the gym together. I'll buy you a coffee afterwards.
Vamos.
Vamos.
So did you speak Spanish before you got to Valencia? Because I heard you speak Spanish with the concierge, who, you know, the Fernando, who I practice my Spanish with. I'm not going to say on. I practice my Spanish with.
With.
Rather than on. It doesn't sound so good.
I actually lived in Madrid before. I was teaching there, teaching English. In my 20s, and so I picked it up there, and then just, I think what's the word, osmosis, you know, is it osmosis when you just
I think osmosis is that's it. It's when it's like we did it with experiments in biology with sugar. We did, didn't we? Water and sugar, and they all go together to make sweet water. Is that right?
I mean, biology, I struggle with. I mean, human biology, I'm pretty good.
I think
plant biology, it's probably there. we'll just That one.
Kind of absorbed.
Absorbed. That's probably a better word. I'll leave osmosis out of this. I tried something. I'm glad that you supported me, but absorbed it. So listening to people speak on the street, I'd always kind of have my ear out and watching TV in Spanish. And I never really went to classes, but yeah, I'd say it's you know, it's conversational, and I don't struggle anymore. I used to struggle, but now I can have a conversation. However, when you're in a group of Spanish people, I don't think even Spanish people can understand some of them because they talk fast, and I'm like, oh no, I'm lost. But no, I have a good group of Spanish friends too, and so we're always talking. And
that's always useful. I spent a year in Spain on my own when I ran across Spain in my bare feet, and Anadi had to be back in London. We only saw each other once a month. I mean, we were in touch every day, so I was actually speaking English every day, but essentially I had to speak Spanish because I was in the mountains a lot where they didn't speak any English.
Right.
And I said to Anadi, it's really good. My Spanish got really good without you. It's good. It's good
right.
not here because I have to speak Spanish. So yeah, it you know, having Spanish friends and talking to Spanish people is very good. So I'm interested, just before we stop, because obviously we could easily carry on easily, but
hours.
But you said on your website the quote, work hard, train harder, it's more simple than many people think. Is that your kind of motto, or is it, what would you share before we finish with all our watchers? Or
yeah, so based on that kind of motto, I think jumping into the world of improving yourself physically or mentally, it can be quite daunting, you know, going into a gym and people are slamming weights. But the reason I say it's simpler than you think is it really isn't that complicated when you understand the recipe. You know, it's like if someone said for you to make a spaghetti bolognese, you'd think, oh my God, okay, right, what do I do? But if you have the recipe there and it gives you the method and all the ingredients in grams, and you've got a scale and you've got all the ingredients prepped, you know, with just a little bit of cooking experience, you'll nail that bolognese. And I think it's the same with your health and your fitness. It really isn't complicated. Yeah, okay, this is my topic. Of course, I'm going to say that you know, this is where I study it the most. But I've had so many clients just come to me and say, really, I mean, I've just lost 20 pounds in this amount of weeks, and I feel great, and I'm not hungry. This is crazy. And I'm like, no, it's a process. It's just a simple process. You just need to understand how it works. And this is what I like to get my clients to. And people have said to me, it's bad for business if you just train them to a point where they can be sustainable on their own because they're not going to pay you anymore. And I said, yeah, but they're going to do that. They're going to look great. They're going to feel great. They're going to tell so many of their friends, and their friends are going to see them and say, hey, you look awesome. Like, what are you doing? You know, and that has worked for me, you know, time and time again. So work hard. Yeah, of course, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to sweat. You're going to have to train hard. You're going to have to, you know, get in the gym or at home at least, put your muscles through a bit of agony. You're going to wake up with some aches and pains every now and again. But nothing good ever came from just sitting around, right? So once you get the work hard and the train harder out there, you'll understand that it's so much simpler than people think. And that's what, you know, that's what I was kind of thinking when I wrote that motto. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, that's really good and really, really helpful. And I would, you know, agree. It's more simple. I've often said that running magazines, you could really write a paragraph and sell it every month because everything's more simple than people think. But it's yeah, because I often think with what you were saying, the same with running, run a bit faster sometimes than others, run quite a lot, run a bit more. If you want to run a marathon, run a bit more. If you want to run a 5K, not quite so much, but
yeah.
And make sure you're agile, flexible, strong. Go to Stacey to get all and eat well and sleep well. And it is quite simple, but often you need somebody to guide you to those things, which is
100%. Yeah. I'm with you. But guiding, I wouldn't even say, I'd say it's just pointing you in the right direction, and giving you the recipe and the method. And it's like when you mentioned running just then, I've never met someone who can run who doesn't like running. I've met a lot of people who can't run who hate running. And I always say to them, just learn how to run. Just get, the minute you start getting good at running, which you're fully capable of doing, you'll see how much you enjoy it. Have you ever met a runner someone who can run who hates it? I haven't, and
I've met people, including myself, who don't always feel like going out the door.
I don't always feel like brushing my teeth, but I always do it. I totally, you're at the, but that's when you really have to dig deep, isn't it? And go,
just go anyway. The brushing the teeth thing is such a good thing because it is the same essentially.
It is.
You would always brush your teeth and do that every day. Go and exercise every day.
You have to. Yeah, you kind of have to. You want to have, clean teeth. But one last word, I'll just throw it out there. Because the most common thing I hear from people wanting to get in shape is, I'm lacking motivation, or my motivation's low. And am I allowed to swear on this?
I'm sure you are. I'm not really ever sure about that, but let's do it. Let's go for it, Stacey. I was telling you about that naughty thing I'm doing on Friday.
All right. There's no whiskey in this tea, I promise.
Let's be naughty.
If I can, 4 words. 4 words, yeah. Fuck motivation, embrace discipline. That will get you a lot further. The problem with just motivation is that it's so sporadic. Some days you hear a great song, I'm motivated, I want to go and train. And then other days you're just lacking it. And you just don't know where it's going to be. But the minute you embrace discipline and you say, no matter how motivated I am, I'm getting this shit done, that's when you'll see the results that you want. That's when you'll get to where you want to be. The same with brushing your teeth. I'm not motivated to brush my teeth, but I'm disciplined. I have to do it. I'm not motivated to go to work, but if I don't go to work, I won't eat. So I'm disciplined. And it's the exact same thing with running, exercising, and eating well. It becomes the discipline. Forget your motivation. Just get rid of it straight away. And the minute you do that, you'll get on the path to your goals a lot quicker.
That is brilliant and really, really, really good advice. So people, I will obviously put in the description, I'll put your website and your Instagram, but can you just say it now for anyone anyway? Where do we find you on Instagram, and where do we find you?
You can find me. I've got a little sticker. Mustard. Oh, where am I? Here we are.
Right up, yes.
Oh, it's backwards though. Oh well, maybe you can see.
No, it's not. Well, is it backwards?
Oh, it looks backwards for me, but maybe it's because it's mirrored. But Mustard Fitness. So it's mustardfitness.com. The name, I guess we'll get to in our next podcast, because that's another story. But on Instagram, it's the same, Mustard Fitness. And I think if you just Google it, you'll find me. But if anyone does want to ask a question or reach out, just send me a message. I respond to all of them. So.
Very good. I'm going to now go and immediately follow you on Instagram. Very excited.
Oh, I'll follow you back. That's awesome.
Well, thank you, Stacey. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much for having me. And I have to say that was the best elevator ride I've ever had. That's
Yeah, me too.
Without a doubt. So